What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. We cover political news, and I told you so, folks. I told you the corporate press lies. The corporate press doesn't care about the truth. They do not care at all. But we're going to get into that. But I came across this really interesting video I want y'all to check out right quick. This is highly enlightening. Check it.
This is the area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location. I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something that said, "Take a look at what happened."
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day. As we circle around, we can see how all the paths of the bullets were hitting in the location of this forklift machine, causing one of the hydraulic hoses to burst.
Yeah, we're talking about the assassination attempt again, and the corporate press lying again, knowing that, just because they get a report and they can't confirm it or they don't want to confirm it, you're all of a sudden a crazy conspiracy theorist. Instead of waiting, hang on, let's look into this. Instead of doing the work to prove an allegation true or not, they're just going to automatically come out, well, nobody has said this, so you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And what am I talking about exactly? The Secret Service acknowledges denying some past requests by Trump's campaign for tighter security. Yeah, I just came across this story and wanted to bring it to you because I'd done a story the other day where the Associated Press went on this insane, unhinged rant about crazy conspiracy theorists, y'all. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you deny that it was a lone gunman that happened to slip through the cracks of security. No, those cracks in the security were intentional. And now more evidence is coming out. By God, they let the kid fly a drone an hour before Donald Trump spoke. He was flying a drone over that. That is supposed to be a secured area. Modern day drones aren't even supposed to be able to fly, right? Like the FTC works with Secret Service and all this. When they have an event like this, they shut down that airspace. That is restricted airspace, which means that the GPS signal for all modern day drones, they won't fly over these areas. They will refuse to fly over this area. They won't even take off, right? So the fact, how did he do this? He would have to go back and actually disable all that, which is kind of hard to do, right? To go in to the software and disable the GPS tracking BS that's inside of that, right? I had to go and research this. It's the only reason I actually know this. I came across that report and I heard it and I'm like, what? Why would they allow somebody to fly a drone? And then come to find out, you can't do that. You would have to physically go in. It would have to be a really old drone, a homemade drone with no GPS tracker that you would have to fly manually. So there is ways around it. But the fact that nobody spotted the drone, like there's so many holes in this thing that It's crazy to think that it's just a security failure because there's so many failures, one after another, right? Like the 10 minutes, they knew he was an active threat for 10 minutes, allowed Trump to come out onto the stage knowing there was an active threat somewhere outside of the security ring. And looking at that video from the beginning, like I talked about the other day, how come they didn't put up a sign or something? We saw those tractors flanking the stage and all this other crap, holding up actual signs. Like, how come they didn't put up a giant American flag or something over that building to block that line of sight? That would be one of the first things you would think about doing. They do this at all kinds of other places. Why wasn't it done here? Well, come to find out, they were low on personnel, just like we thought. Check this out. The Secret Service has acknowledged it denied some requests by Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump's campaign for increased security at his event in the years before the assassination attempt on him at a recent rally. So, in the years. So, they've been denying him Secret Service, enough people for years now. In the immediate aftermath of the July 13th attack, the law enforcement agency had denied rejecting such requests, but the Secret Service acknowledged late Saturday, a week after the attempt on Trump's life, that it had turned back some requests to increase security around the former president. The reversal is likely to be a key focus of a congressional hearing Monday, where Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is expected to appear before lawmakers who have been expressing anger over security lapses that allowed a 20-year-old gunman to climb atop a roof of a nearby building at Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and fire his weapon. Trump was wounded in the right ear, one rallygoer was killed, and two others were injured. Secret Service gunmen killed the shooter. The attack on Trump was the most serious attempt to assassinate a president or presidential candidate since Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981, the year I was born. It was the latest in a series of security lapses by the agency that has drawn investigations and public scrutiny over the years. The Secret Service has a vast, dynamic, and intricate mission. Every day we work in a dynamic threat environment to ensure our protectees are safe and secure across multiple events, travel, and other challenging environments. The agency's chief spokesperson, Anthony Googlemy, said in a statement released late Saturday to Washington Post. The newspaper was first to report on the agency's reversal, which it said was based on detailed questions submitted to the agency. We execute a comprehensive and layered strategy to balance personnel, technology, and specialized operational needs, Guglielmini said. I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering that name, but frankly, I don't care. He said the agency will rely on state and local law enforcement departments in some cases where specialized Secret Service units are unavailable. In some instances where specific Secret Service specialized units or resources were not provided, the agency made modifications to ensure the security of the protectee, Guglielmini said. This may include utilizing state or local partners to provide specialized functions or otherwise identifying alternatives to reduce public exposure of a protectee. Yeah, they obviously didn't do that in this case. There were so many failures that you probably couldn't even put all the failures on a piece of paper. After the assassination attempt, as reports began to circulate that the agency had denied the Trump campaign's request, Guglielmini issued a denial, lying to the American people. And the corporate press sucked it right up and said, "You're a crazy conspiracy theorist." There's a number of untrue assertions that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and that those were rebuffed, Guglielmini said in a social media post. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources, a technology, and capabilities as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. What? Yeah, that was the corporate press narrative. Hang on, Iran's got an assassination attempt coming down the pipeline, so we need to increase security. And we did, but they didn't. They lied to you. Why did they lie? Like, once again, these people are insane, just buying into the narrative. Acting like the corporate press does this a lot. Acting like politicians never lie. They never say anything that's untrue. They're constantly saying things that are untrue. So why not do some more investigation? That is the job of the corporate press. is to look into these things, to give accurate information. Has the Associated Press or any of these other organizations apologized for lying to everybody? No, they haven't. They did not do their due diligence. However, it was up to places like me to come out and actually find the evidence. It's just outright insane. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has called what happened a failure. While several lawmakers have called on Cheadle to resign or for President Biden to fire her, the Secret Service has said Cheadle does not intend to step down. So far, she retains the support of Biden, a Democrat, and Mayorkas. Right? How can you have such an epic failure of this proportion, right? And still keep this person in their job? The government and the Biden administration in particular, and the Democrats in general, is the only industry where you can fail upwards, right? You can screw up, get promoted, screw up, and get promoted. What? That's how Biden became president, y'all. Like, do you think he was a good vice president? No, he wasn't. He didn't do anything. He didn't do jack squat. But it's just insane to me to think that you can have such an epic failure and still retain your job, right? Like, if I failed that badly on my job, I would be fired. And, I wouldn't have no problems with that whatsoever. If I utterly just failed and I got fired for it, that's my fault, right? She should resign. I am outright calling on her to resign. I'm calling for Joe Biden to fire this lady. Alejandro Mayorkas should not be in his position. He got fired by Congress. But Joe Biden, in his infinite wisdom, right? These people are so dirty. The politics that are being played here is insane. They're playing politics with people's lives, right? What if this happens again? Once again. The rhetoric that's been coming from the Democrats has been insane. And to think that somebody isn't going to act upon that rhetoric when you call Donald Trump Hitler and say he's an existential threat to this country, do you really think that some nut job listening to that isn't going to act upon it? Do you think that this attempt was the last attempt just because they don't happen? Well, guess what? We've never had the entire media industry calling somebody Hitler and the entire Democratic Party calling somebody an existential threat to this country. We've never had that. So don't take it for granted just because it doesn't happen a lot that it won't happen again. According to them, Trump is an existential Hitler-level threat that needs to be taken out, according to them. That is insane. These people are insane. Democrats need to tone back the rhetoric, and Republicans need to respond in kind. And I do believe they have. I believe since the assassination attempt, Republicans have chilled out a little bit. But Democrats all they're doing is deflecting. That's all they're doing. Oh, Republicans, that's the party of violence, right? No. Was it Republicans responsible for the Summer of Love? No. Was it Republicans responsible for the Gretchen Whitmer plot? No, it wasn't. As a matter of fact, that was the FBI that was responsible for that. Trying to coerce Republicans to kill a governor. How insane do you have to be to try to do that? To have 15 people connected to this plot. 3 of them are civilians. The rest of them are FBI agents, for God's sakes. It's just nuts. The left, right, like, they're not holding the Democratic National Convention this year. They're doing everything virtually, right? I mean, they're holding it, but if you go and look at the DNC for the last, several DNCs, they always have violent protests break out. The Republican, the RNC, not so much. If they do, it's because of leftists. The leftist extremism in this country has gone outright insane. There's an entire organized terrorist group that is connected to the left. It's called Antifa. And guess what? Our federal government doesn't even recognize Antifa as a group. They say, oh, that's an idea. It's utterly ridiculousness. These people refuse to see their own faults. They refuse to see the own violence that they're stirring up in their party behind them, while saying the Republicans are the evil threats in this country. It's utter ridiculousness. Don't buy into it. Don't buy their BS. Believe your lying eyes, right? Because your eyes ain't going to lie to you, folks. They're going to tell you the truth. If you see something, that's what it is. It is what it is for the most part. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Man, let me know your theories. Do you have a working theory? Was it the corporate press narrative that just some lone gunman slipped through the cracks in security? Or was it a concert of failures, which would absolutely require some people to see a threat and look the other way and say nothing for this to be allowed to happen? Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.